Good evening, friends. Welcome to the day 10 of daily answer writing and mentorship program. Uh, this is also the second day of environment. On the first day of environment, we wrote an answer on stubble burning. On the second day, today, we are dealing with e-waste. Let us first look at the question. Discuss key reasons for increasing e-waste generation in India. The question is why e-waste generation is increasing in India. Increasing e-waste generation in India. Now, this question is not as such an environment question. This, in general, by common sense, you should be able to write like e-waste क्यों generate ज़्यादा हो रहा है country में. Okay, then the second part is what are the key challenges that India faces in achieving proper e-waste management. These are the two things that you have to cover. So, first part of your answer should be why e-waste generation is going up. Second part of your answer should be what are the key challenges, and then in way forward, how do you deal with these challenges. Okay, now since it's a 250 word answer, as I've told you in the past, follow this general rule that intro should be around 20% of your answer. That is, it should not be more than 50 words. Core body should be 60% of your answer, and way forward conclusion, that should be another 20% of your answer. Okay, now here, because we have two subsections in the question, the core body would also become roughly 30% each. So this should give you an idea. Your introduction can be of 50 words, your conclusion way forward could be of 50 words, and the core thing, the key reasons for increasing e-waste population, e-waste generation, that should be around 75 words, and this section, the key challenges, that should be around 75 words. The answer that we have given here is a bit more elaborate. It's covering some more dimensions, and like rather than talking about only one intro, here we'll talk about what are the different things you can use in your intro. So this would be a bit larger in size, but you should ensure that in general you follow these rules and are able to write your answers in 250 words. Okay, so now let's go to the introduction. Just a second. Let's go to the introduction of our answer. The question is about e-waste. How can you introduce your answer? You can either start with definition of e-waste. What is e-waste? You can talk about the hazards that e-waste can create, but that's something that has not been asked in the question. The question is key challenges in e-waste management. So the problems which may be created by e-waste you can mention there, or what you can do is, the question is about increasing e-waste generation in India. Why is e-waste generation increasing? Key reasons for increasing e-waste generation in the country. You can also, in your introduction, talk about the extent of e-waste generation that's happening in the country. So here, if you look at the model answer, you'll see that e-waste, first we have defined e-waste, refers to the waste generated by discarded electronic and electrical equipments. They are emerging as one of the fastest growing waste stream in the world. According to a statement by Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, e-waste generation has increased by 43%. See, the question was about why is it increasing? You have first said that it is increasing. Then we'll jump on to its reason. This is one way in which you can introduce your answer. Or here, you could have also talked about e-waste refers to this pollution, and e-waste consists of these hazardous element. Like you'll see, you must already be knowing that e-waste consists of white good, grey goods, brown goods, and their hazard levels. You could have discussed that aspect. So there could have been many ways of introducing this answer. On the WhatsApp group, I think we have also shared you the notes from which today's content should have been prepared. Jisme, if you'll go to the e-waste section, you'll realize that there are all the different aspects of e-waste have been covered there. So this is one way in which you can introduce, but there could have been many other ways in which you could have introduced your answer. You could have defined e-waste and then would have written that e-waste creates, there are these types of e-waste like white goods, grey goods and brown goods, and how what kind of e-waste do those goods generate. That could have been a part of your discussion. Now come to reasons behind increasing e-waste generation in the country. What are the key reasons? because of which e-waste generation is increasing in the country. So why is e-waste generation increasing in the country? So e-waste generation would increase if we'll use more electronic. If we're using, if like 20 years down the line, a very small percentage of country's population use laptop or phones. Now more of them are using it. So if that phone stops working after 3 years, that becomes an e-waste. So why is it increasing? It's increasing because of changes in socio-economic conditions. As socio-economic conditions of people are changing, they're buying more of refrigerators, they're buying more of televisions, they're buying more of TV, more of computers, more of laptops, more of mobile phones, and this is one of the key reasons. Then rapidly changing technology is also another reason. Rapidly changing technology, one, has made these electronic devices affordable. Two, when the technology changes, people tend to migrate to better technology. From 2G they go to 3G, from 3G they go to 4G, from 4G they go to 5G. In India, like just 10 years back, everyone was using 2G phones. But since then we have had 3G, we have had 4G, and now we are moving towards 5G. So this rapid change in technology also makes people to change their devices, and thus the older device becomes e-waste. Then in India, another key reason for increasing e-waste generation is our transition towards renewable energy, where we are focusing a lot on solar power panels. Though a lot of solar power panels are being installed throughout the country, but when this solar power panel stops functioning, stops working, is at the end of their life, there is no clear regulation on what happens to it, and it is also leading to generation of e-waste. Then in India, because of poverty, because of poor economic conditions, people tend to buy products which are of lower quality. You must be knowing that people tend to buy Chinese phones or cheap quality products. And these products, rather than surviving for 5 years, would only survive for 1 year, would only be usable for 6 months, would only be usable for 1 month. And after 1 month or 6 months or 1 year, when they stop functioning, they are generally discarded, increasing the e-waste generation. Then, because in India, the regulation of import and export is not that good, what is happening is we are also importing a lot of e-waste, and then boom in the IT and communication sector has also increased the e-waste generation from corporate sector. So these are some of the dimensions, some of the reasons because of which e-waste generation is increasing in the country. There are some other aspects, but this is good enough. Like, you only have 75 words for this section. You cannot write a lot of things. Even this is much more than 75. While you will write these 6 points, you will realize that you have already written more than 75 points. But there are other dimensions also. For example, power fluctuations in the country. They are also one of the reasons for e-waste generation. Because of power fluctuations, and if stabilizers are not being used, what happens is your TV burns up. In that case, you have to discard that television. Your fan stops functioning. A lot of its part is discarded. So those are some other reasons, but these are good enough. 5-6 core reasons are good enough. So put a subheading with the factors, reasons behind e-waste, increasing e-waste generation in the country, and write down about these dimensions. Then we have briefly also talked about that e-waste se problem kya hota, but this has not been specifically asked in the question. You could have avoided it, or you could have added it in your introduction, that e-waste generation leads to soil pollution, air pollution, water pollution, like lead, or when lead is burned, it gets into the atmosphere, that gets breathed by people, leads to lead poisoning. In the same way, other heavy metals like cadmium and all, which are made to go into the environment from batteries that we use, that's also e-waste. They add to soil pollution, or they add to water pollution. So those are the problems. And unscientific extraction of, like, when you will go to a integrated circuit board, it consists of various precious metals. Like, when you look at a computer, you will see that computer within it consists of certain precious metals also. So the e-waste management system tries to extract those precious metals before discarding the remaining things. But in India, most of this extraction takes place in an unscientific manner. Thus, when the extraction is taking place in unscientific manner, when the precious metal are being extracted in an unscientific manner, what happens is the people who are extracting it are exposed to hazardous e-waste substances. Okay, so these are certain things. We have so far discussed what should have been the intro. We have discussed what are the key reasons because of which e-waste generation takes place in India. Now, what are the key challenges? What are the key problems of e-waste management in the country? E-waste generation is happening. We should have a mechanism to deal with it. We have a mechanism to deal with it, but there are some challenges, some issues associated with those mechanisms. First is, in e-waste management system of the country, there's a domination of unorganized sector. We have organized sector, but unorganized sector dominate this industry. You'll see in Delhi we have a region which is known for its e-waste management, where around 50,000 unskilled workers work every day. Unskilled worker working in unorganized sector. Rather than your phone after getting discarded be going to organized sector, where in a protected environment, where in a with the use of proper tools, extraction of precious components, extraction of reusable component would happen. In India, most of it happens in unorganized sector, where unskilled workers work on it, and it leads to a number of problems. It leads to so this sector is poorly regulated. This sector sometimes also employ children. This sector leads to hazardous health problems for workers who are working there, and thus overall also adds to the overall pollution problem. Then the laws, rules and regulations which are there in the country are being implemented in a poor manner. Why are we saying it? For example, let's take a look at the 2016 e-waste management rules. इसमें extended producer responsibility norms were there, but these norms are hardly being followed. In 2018, government had to relax these norms because the 2018 तक का जो extended producer responsibility guidelines were there, targets were there, none of the companies were meeting it. So one, the sector is dominated by unorganized sector, but also at the same time the implementation of rules, regulations, laws are poor. Then solar photovoltaic cells are not covered by current regulation. That is another problem. There is in general a lack of awareness among common masses about hazards that e-waste may create and how e-waste should be disposed of. That is missing, and regulatory framework on exports and imports of e-waste is also missing in the country. For these are the key challenges, key concerns of e-waste in the country. How do we deal with this challenge? What should be our way forward? In our way forward, we should first identify the extent of problem. Therefore, we need a proper audit or proper inventorization of how much e-waste is getting produced. Once we have these numbers, we can make our policies program. Second, our laws needs to be implemented more effectively, and for this everyone knows that e-waste management जो Delhi में market है, that all the rules and regulations are being not followed there. In fact, all the regulations are being violated there, but still it's going on. It's because there's a lack of political will to change the system. So what we need is, we need to implement rules, regulations that we have made for e-waste, and for this it's important that our government understands the problem that e-waste may create and thus work towards dealing with those problems. Then e-waste collection drive can happen at regular intervals, like in your locality, municipality, or people from municipality could come and go for a collection drive. So your old discarded phone could be given to them. They'll ensure that it gets managed in a proper manner. Through this e-waste collection drive, we can also promote awareness, which was one of the key generation regarding how e-waste should be dealt with and why e-waste, if not dealt with properly, could become a big problem. Finally, another thing that we can do which will have a huge impact is integrate unorganized sector with the organized sector. Now, unorganized sector in India is very large and has huge reach. You know, the rag pickers who come to pick things, they all are a part of this unorganized sector of e-waste management. They pick up batteries, they pick up other e-wastes also, other than plastics and all they pick. So they have huge reach. So just disbanding unorganized sector is not the solution. It's important that unorganized sector which has huge reach is integrated with organized sector which has better infrastructure, better e-waste management system. Then we need to promote more research and development in order to ensure that cheaper mechanism, cost effective mechanism are available for metal extraction technologies from e-waste, and we should also come up with clear regulatory instruments to ensure that unnecessarily we are not importing e-waste in the country. Okay, so this was part of our way forward. This answer here has taken more than 350-400 words, but here we wanted to give you more content. You should try to write your answers within 250 words, and there you will realize that rather than writing full sentences, you may end up writing only the keywords or key points. Even that's okay. It's important that you write answers in word limit. Okay, thank you very much.
Hit the bell icon to never miss an update from LevelUp IAS. Make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.